Hey guys, it's Graham. Welcome back to Truckerman Reads. This might be the most on brand book review that I have done so far. When this one came down the pike in the upstream reviews inbox, I said, ooh, this could possibly be up my alley. It is called Convoy of Chaos, and I recognized one of the names on the cover, Sam Robb. He's a guy I've known through the internet for the last 8 or 9 years. Never actually met him in person, but he also is handling some of the marketing at Rack and Tour for my Fossil Force book. So I'm aware of who he is. Good dude. I like him. I know that he's a writer, but I don't think I've actually read anything that he's written. So I thought, okay, this will be a good chance to get a feel for his sensibilities as an author. Convoy of Chaos is an anthology set within I guess it's like the literary universe of a tabletop role-playing game called Car Wars or Auto Duel. I have heard of this before. I'm not a tabletop role-play guy. It's not like I have a whole bunch of extra time for yet another hobby, but this is the kind of thing that if I did dedicate time to that, it would definitely be at the top of my list. Obviously, because, hey, I make a living behind the wheel and on the road. That said, there is still some part of me that's apprehensive about reviewing any kind of book related to an RPG just because I don't like lit RPG. This is not like that. It's not somebody rolling dice and maxing out stats or anything. There is a little bit of a lore curve, but other than that, you can just read this as a near future sci-fi that is heavily reliant on cars and guns and people fighting each other at high speed. I don't know all of the lore of the Car Wars universe, but I get the feeling that it's maybe not necessarily post-apocalyptic, but there has been a major worldwide shift in technology and international relations. There was some kind of blight that affected crops. I gathered that from the stories, like wheat is dead, and so a lot of the majority of food that people eat is grown and extracted and processed from algae. And people don't like it, but you got to eat it to survive. The really good stuff can still be found, like good wheat-based food can be found, but it's rare and it's expensive. And you can make a living if you're willing to be a driver, whether you're driving cars or riding motorcycles and getting into fights on the road, or you're driving trucks. But much like today, you've got the independent owner operators who are getting screwed on fees and stuff, and they've got to compete with the larger motor carriers who can bring litigious clout to bear against them. All that stuff is there, but it adds kind of a background flavor to the overall goings-on in this world, where there are drivers who get into cool machine gun battles in trucks and cars on the highway as they go about their business. There is also a technology that kept reminding me of that movie, The Sixth Day, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where you can clone yourself, and every so often you upload your memories into a computer, so that if you die, they just take your most recent upload and put it in a 25-year-old clone of yourself, and provided that you're paying the fee and you've got insurance for that kind of thing, and that factored into some of the stories. I wasn't keeping track of the total count of stories or who wrote what, but I will say that all of the authors did a great job of synchronizing what they wrote, or maybe synchronizing is the wrong word, tying it all together so that it all feels very much like it happens in the same world and in the same continuity. And I assume that that's all got to do with the rules of the gaming universe that it's set in. That's where the gaming background of these stories is an advantage, because the framework then becomes very rigid and it allows these stories to all seamlessly exist in the same world. There's apparently a whole catalog of Car Wars books, and I kind of want to get into them now. Like I said, I don't have the time to get into a game like this. I got plenty of other stuff going on. The same thing has been true for the last couple of years of Warhammer 40K. I don't have the time or money to sink into a game like that. I'm involved in other things, but there are books and there are audiobooks, and I can do that. So, Convoy of Chaos, it's coming out, if it's not out already, very soon. There was a foreword on this one by Will Wheaton, which isn't exactly like an appealing poll for me. He narrated Ready Player One, and I hated Ready Player One. I hated it even back before the movie was made. I read this, I'm like, man, I really don't get what the hype is about it. Like, this thing sucks. And then Mike Nelson and Connor Listoka did their podcast on bad books, starting with that one, and it's like, man, I am not alone, finally. Like, I understand that he's this kind of icon of nerddom, and that he was on Big Bang Theory after he was on Star Trek and all of that stuff. Like whatever, I don't care. I will say this about his foreword. It was very earnest and very heartfelt. Apparently, he does a podcast or a live stream with different tabletop RPGs. Like, he's big in that community. And he got to play this game against Steve Jackson, who is the founder of the company that publishes this game. And, hey, that would be pretty cool to meet one of your heroes and play against him and have some fun and challenge yourself. And you could tell that he was passionate about it, and he was excited to boost this book and get it out there into the world. I don't do star ratings anymore, but this one would be up there. I wouldn't mind owning a print copy if I read a few more of these Car Wars books and find that they're up to snuff. I'd like to read more of these. I've been looking for kind of a sci-fi, maybe if it's post-apocalyptic or it's thriller-based or whatever. Like, I want to read more action-adventure books that are car-heavy, in the way that my fellow Larry Correa fans want to read stuff that's for gun nerds. They want to get into those details. Like, I like guns, but I don't know all of the minutiae and the ins and outs and all of that. I'm more of a car guy, and reading this book, I was like, man, all of the car details and stuff like really passes muster. And there were a couple of short stories that were very trucking centric, and not just with the mechanics of driving a truck, but like the culture of trucking. Those details were very real and very accurate, and they passed the smell test for me. I've been driving trucks for 12 years. I've done OTR, I've done local, I've done hazmat and tankers, I've done flatbeds and construction, demolition. Like, I've done a lot of different things in it, and there was none of this glaring Hollywood stuff where like, oh no, they cut my airlines, my brakes are out. Like, it was all spot on. I loved that. And the stories were great. The characters were engaging. I'll read more in this world. So go check out Convoy of Chaos. Now that I think about it, yeah, I'm pretty sure Sam Robb was the editor. And, hey, if you care about this, Will Wheaton did the foreword. And I think he did a good job with it. So check that one out. Drive safe. See you out there.